You guys can see this? Dalton, Tatiana? Tatiana says I was an imposter. All right. So in this first question, what formula do I use to find midpoint? Midpoint means I find the average. So x plus x divided by 2. And then y plus y divided by 2. Any questions on midpoint formula? If I'm finding the midpoint, I just do x plus x. This is my x, and this is my x, and then this is my y, and this is my y. Right? Okay. Find the midpoint. This is exactly the same thing. So these two problems, exactly the same. The only difference is there is no difference. Those are literally the exact same question. That shouldn't be. How about this one? What do I do here? Because this one is kind of tricky. Anybody have ideas? I've got a part on the left and a part on the right. And then what do I call this whole thing from Z to X? That's the line segment. That's the total of the entire line segment, right? So I've taken this big long line segment that's 50 and I've cut it into two pieces, A and A plus 8. And if you have some paper and you want to write this down, feel free. So I take that part, A, and I add it to the other part, A plus 8. And what does that equal? Somebody say 50, right? The part plus the part equals the total. So this piece on the left, xy, plus this piece on the right, yz, equals the whole thing, 50. So when we combine like terms, we get 2a plus 8 equals 50. The struggle is real when you're trying to write with a mouse, huh? And then we subtract 8 from both sides and divide by 2. And I think a equals 21. Is that the right answer? Is that the final answer? Why not? We got to plug it in. So the question is YZ. Guys, on this test, it's tricky, and it just keeps getting trickier as we go through the year. This is as much a reading test as it is a math test. We got to substitute it in for YZ. So YZ is this piece over here. So I got to substitute my 21 in right here. 21 plus 8 is 29. And my final answer is going to be 29. Okay. How is number 4 different than number 1 and number 2? Is it asking for the midpoint? Or is it asking for an endpoint? Endpoint. So what's different if I have an endpoint, guys? Or if I want an endpoint? Do I do that x plus x divided by 2 and y plus y divided by 2? I'm seeing some heads going like this. How is that different? If I want the midpoint, I do x plus x divided by 2. I find the average to get the middle. What if I want to extend that pattern? I want to go from an endpoint to the middle point to the other endpoint. What kind of graphic do I have to draw? That little chart? Question mark? Where do I put -3, -5? The top, the middle, or the bottom? Okay, so we'll put that in the top. I love that answer. And then where do I put the -1, 0? In the middle. Why does -1, 0 have to go in the middle? Because it's the middle point, right? And, you know, I say that with a little bit of humor, hopefully. But I've got an end and a middle and then the other end, right? So you need to have your end points on the end and your middle points in the middle. And then you just find the pattern. So if you're struggling with this part, draw a number line. If I go from -3 to -1, I'm getting bigger by 2. So my rule is +2. Oh, come on. That's a 2. And then if I do -1 plus 2, I get a +1, correct? What's the rule over here on the right side? plus 5. So if I go from -5 to 0, that's plus 5. So I add another 5 and I get positive 5. My mouse has decided it wants to stop working. Okay. Question with that? All right. If the endpoint of a segment is this and the midpoint of the segment is this, what is the other endpoint? Which method do I use, the table or the average? The table. Okay, so do it the exact same way, and the middle point has to go in the middle, right? Any questions on the matching here, the vocabulary? Did the GIM kit help a little bit, kind of solidify some of that vocabulary, or was it a complete waste of time? Be honest, it was good? Okay. I need feedback, y'all. What about number 7? What's this asking me for? The midpoint between A and C, right? So I've got segment AC. If there's a graph, I always put kind of a prediction. Somewhere close to that is going to be the midpoint. So you've got to find A. So that's 2, 5. 2, 5. And you've got to find C. That's 6, 0. 6, 0. So if I find the midpoint, 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 5 plus 0 is 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. That is my ordered pair. That is the midpoint, right? Always go back and double check. So 4 and 2.5 is going to be right there. That's pretty darn close to my estimation, right? Always go back and check those points. That's kind of your insurance policy. Distance. How do I find distance? Oops. What's the formula for distance? X minus X squared. Guys, if you don't have these memorized, that's okay. Use your digital notebook, right? And then Y minus Y squared. Okay. Use the digital notebook. Use your notes. Make a little cheat sheet for yourself when you go to do the test. Okay. You are welcome to use the digital notebook in your notes. So what does bisect mean? To split, to cut, to slice? Exactly how? In middle. So Q is the midpoint. That means PQ is equal to QR. So you've got to label your stuff. This is kind of tricky until you label it. PQ is 3Y. Because it says bisects, I can make these little congruent marks. Those little tick marks are congruent. So then PR is 42. This whole distance is 42. Because PQ is 3Y, QR is also 3Y. This is inferred. Because you know Q is the midpoint, it's been bisected. This side is 3Y and this side is 3Y. So your equation is going to be 6Y equals 42. And that's one of the things that's a super common mistake, right? But then luckily my question is, what is Y? So when you do 6Y equals 42, Y equals, anybody? 7. Okay, questions on that? Bisect means to cut in half. You're going to have 2 parts that are exactly equal. Okay. How about question 10? What do I know based on the words up at the top? How do I set up that equation? If X is the midpoint, what do I know about that? What do these marks mean? They are, absolutely. They're congruent. And if they're congruent, then they're equal. So our equation is 3m plus 5 equals 4m minus 10. And then you just solve that. So if I've got 3m plus 5 and 4m minus 10, I'm going to subtract 3m from both sides, and I'm going to end up with m on the right side. And then I'm going to add 10 and get 15 on the left side. Am I done? Find the value of m. Looks like I'm done. Yeah? Okay. What about question 11? For the line segment AB, if A is located at 3, -2, and the midpoint is located at 5, -4, what is the coordinate of B, the other end point? Do I use the average or do I use the table? Average or the table? The table. Yep. Okay. And what goes in the middle? And which point is the midpoint? 5, -4. Okay. So make sure you're close reading and you know which one is the midpoint. What's it asking for if it's asking for length? Oh, thank you. What's it asking for if it's asking for length? What formula do I use? Distance, absolutely. Sometimes it'll even say find MN. So you'll see on the test review today, it just says find MN. That means I'm finding the distance, right? So x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. What do I do here? We've got another bisect. What do I know about bisect? I've taken a giant piece of cake and I've bisected it. What do I know about those two pieces of cake? They are 100% equal. So this top piece is exactly equal to this bottom piece. So we'll do 2x plus 25 equals x plus 40. And I super strongly encourage you to be writing these down. So then I subtract the x from both sides and I get x, and I subtract the 25 from both sides and I get 15. Any questions on how I just do that in my head? Do I need to show the work? Okay. Am I done? Is x equal 15? What's the question asking us? What's that little m mean? I do have to find the angle. That little m, we read measure of angle GFH. So from G to F to H is this piece right here. So I'm going to add my 15 to 40. So 15 plus 40 is 55. And that last step is where a lot of people go wrong. You do all of this stuff right. You know, bisect means to cut in half. You set the two halves equal to each other. You solve perfectly for x equals 15. And then somehow we forget to answer the right question. So as you're going through the test review and as you're going through the test, please make sure that you're answering the right question. Okay? Any other questions about this one from Thursday? It seems like everybody has it down. Was this helpful going over it? Yeah? Okay. So let's leave there and go to Monday. And I know I'm skipping around a little bit. And again, if you've already done both of these, feel free to be working on the test review for today, because that's what we're going to do after we do these last 6. But we're going to go to Monday's folder, the angle relationships practice. Okay. Hopefully you've already done the angle relationships in the notebook. So vertical angles are on opposite sides of an intersection. Supplementary angles and linear pairs are on the same side and they add up to 180. But we're going to go into this Monday folder. That's 6 questions. And we'll use Desmos to help us a little bit in at least one of the questions. All right. I'm getting tired of looking at blue, so I'm going to change it to pink. What equation do I set up for these? So I've got this angle over here that's 67. And I've got this angle over here that's 2x plus 1. How are they related? They're congruent, absolutely. Why are they congruent? What's the special name for those if they're on opposite sides of an intersection? Vertical, okay? If you're not sure what vertical is, please, please, please go look in your digital notebook, okay? I think it's page like 15 or 16. It's the very end. So you're going to set these two things equal to each other. 67 equals 2x plus 1. Okay? Questions on that? Do we need to solve it? What's complementary mean? This is another vocabulary thing. Complementary means they add up to how many degrees? 90, yes. And I think about changing that CO into a 90. Somehow that sticks in my head, right? That CO, you can turn that into a 90 degrees, boom, by just making a line and a dot. So we're going to add these things up. 5x plus 22 and 10x plus 8 equal 90. So if I combine the x's, 5x and 10x make 15x. And some of you like to write out all of this, and some of you like to just do it in your head. Either way works for me as long as you get the right answer. So in geometry, you need to show enough work to get the right answer. So plus 22 and plus 8 make plus 30. And like so many of you said, complementary means 90, so we're going to set that equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to subtract and divide, and I think x equals 4. Can somebody correct me if I'm wrong? Does x equal 4? Is that my final answer? Why not? I'm seeing some head shaking. What's it at? I do. So I've got to find this measure of B. So B is right here. I've got to stick that 4 in right there. So 10 times 4 plus 8 is going to be 48. Always go back and reread the question. Okay, that's where a lot of mistakes happen, and that's why I always give you 2 attempts on an assessment. All right, how is number 3 different? This is different than anything we've looked at so far today. I do. And how are these angles different? So they're all on the same side of the line, right? One of them is acute and the other is obtuse. So this one, are they going to add up to 90 or are they going to add up to 180? 180. These are supplementary. Okay? Supplementary. I'm not going to write out the whole word. They're also a linear pair. Linear has the word line in it. Linear pair. And I'm just going to write PR because my hand's getting tired. So it's a pair of angles that form a straight line. Straight lines always equal 180 degrees. So we're going to add these two up. 5x and 2x make 7x. And plus 3 and plus 2 is plus 5. And we're going to set them equal to 180. Supplementary or linear pairs always equal 180 degrees, right? Two 90-degree angles are also going to equal 180 degrees. So 2 complementary angles will make that 180. But these are supplementary. They are a linear pair. Okay? So you would solve that and just tell me what x is. Let's skip number 4 for a second and go to 5 and 6, and then we'll come back to number 4. Everybody okay with that? Okay, I'm looking in the chat. Select all of the relationships that apply. Select all of the relationships that apply to A and B. So I've got that straight line. I've got 2 things on the same side of it. I've got an acute angle and an obtuse angle. So what words can I use to describe that? Same ones we just used before. Linear pair for sure. It's 2 angles that form a straight line. And supplementary. And supplementary adds up to how many degrees? 180. Okay. And then what about this one? I'm just looking at the angles that make A and B. So I'm just looking at those angles. How are those related? They are complementary, absolutely. It is tempting to say that they are congruent. If you really look at that, it looks like it's been bisected, right? Even if you look over here on the other side, it looks like this angle and this angle are going to be congruent. They're not marked. If they're not marked, don't assume it, okay? Only go based on things that are marked, okay? So now that we've done the easy ones, let's look at number 4, because number 4 is kind of a big problem, okay? So one thing that I sometimes do is, I'm going to split my screen and I'm going to pull up Desmos. See if I still have Desmos open. Did we all use Desmos last year? Okay, do we like Desmos or do we not like Desmos? We like it? Okay. I'll be honest, I'm a little conflicted about Desmos. I have a love-hate relationship with it. So what I did in the last block is I put in the 1,8 or the negative 1,8. That's up here at the top. So I put in my endpoint, and then I put in all 3 of my answer choices, okay? Sometimes this is going to help us out. So let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for those who are sitting at home or sitting in class. I've got 1,8. It's sitting right here. And then I've got all of my answer choices over here. And I'm trying to find one that is a length of 5. So if I come over here, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Between negative 1,8 and 4,8, that is 5 spots. It's super easy to see on Desmos, right? So 4,8 is definitely going to be a choice. This green one way down here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, it is crazy far away. So I'm thinking that's not going to go. From 8 to negative 4, that's actually 12 because I zoomed in and now I'm going like by 2. So I can eliminate this one right off the bat. Then I've got to do distance formula to check this guy. This 2, 4, you've got to do the distance formula. So my suggestion when you get questions like this, and you might, is to graph everything you can graph in Desmos, eliminate the junk answers, find the easy answers, and then test what's left over. Sound good? Do we need to actually do that problem, or are we all right? Okay. Then at this point, what I'd like for you to do is to go back into today's folder and just work for the next 35 minutes. If you are in Zoom, message me on Schoology and let me know, or message me in Zoom and let me know if you have any questions. If you're here, just call out and we'll talk about them. But station 1 is just vocabulary. And then stations 2, 3, and 4, 2 of them are big and one of them is a little bit smaller. Or 2 of them are small and one of them is a little bit bigger. But I want to give you the time now to just work on these. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay? And if you want to chat with each other, please feel free to chat with each other as well.